is to enable you to increase your return on energy, as we mentioned earlier. Since your time is your life, and your mental, emotional, and physical energies are your most valuable resources, your job is to organize your efforts in such a way as to give you maximum rewards and satisfaction for your energy invested. Differentiate yourself. Each company and each product or service either has or must develop a unique selling proposition. This is the key to differentiating the company and the company's products and services from the competition. Often this is called a competitive advantage. Sometimes we call it an area of superiority. In every case, it's essential to determine how and where and why and in what degree a particular company or product differs from every other company that is competing with it for the right to create and keep customers in that market niche. And what applies to competitive businesses applies to you. You are the president of You, Inc. You are the president of your own life. You are the president of your own personal services corporation. You are in business for yourself. You are self-employed. No matter who signs your paycheck, you are working for yourself from the day you take your first job until the day you retire. You may work at someone else's office or company, but you are always self-employed. The failure of many people to recognize this fact of self-employment and to behave as though this were true is a major reason for low self-confidence, underperformance, unhappiness, and failure in working life. As the president of your own company, selling your services in the marketplace to the highest bidder, you are completely responsible for identifying your own unique selling proposition. What is it that you do better than anyone else? Why are you special or different? What is your area of competitive advantage? If you had to write in 25 words or less exactly why someone should hire and promote and pay you to do a particular job, rather than hire, promote, and pay someone else, what would you point out as your area of superiority? Join the top 3%. Many people have a tough time with this question. What matters at this point, though, is that you are asking the question at all. The very fact that you are thinking this way is moving you rapidly into the top 3% of working Americans, or working people worldwide. Only the top 3% see themselves as self-employed and self-responsible, and they are the most respected and important people in any organization. Your first question is, what am I really good at today? What is your personal area of competitive advantage or superiority in your current job? Each person is responsible for asking and answering these questions for himself, today, and throughout your career. No one else can or will do it for you. The amount of knowledge in every field is doubling every 2 or 3 years, and sometimes every 6 months. Your skills are becoming obsolete at a more rapid rate than ever before, and new skills are essential for survival, much less success in highly competitive markets. If your knowledge and skill isn't doubling every 2 to 3 years or faster in your field, you will soon be out of your business and someone else will have your job. Whatever got you to where you are today is not enough to get you any further. As Marshall Goldsmith entitled his best-selling book, "What got you here won't get you there." This is an inevitable and unavoidable fact of working life. Designing your future. Your next question is, what could be my area of competitive advantage? Of all the areas where you might be able to develop an area of superiority and become really good, taking your values and goals into consideration, what could it be sometime in the future? And the final question, perhaps the most important question on this subject, is the question, what should my area of competitive advantage be? If you could be really excellent at any one skill sometime in the future, what one skill would help you the most to move to the top of your field? Imagine that you have no limitations at all on what you could learn and master. To accelerate your career, what should you really be good at sometime in the future? Find out what you are meant to do. A friend of mine built a company and sold it a couple of years ago. He had money in the bank and he decided to change careers. He had lots of time to think about it and to make the right choice. He went to an industrial psychologist and took an entire battery of tests and underwent several interviews to find out what he was ideally suited to do in a new career. At the end of this process, his friend, the industrial psychologist, sat him down and told him that his greatest strengths were consulting and presenting professional development seminars for managers and salespeople. Well, my friend got a little bit angry. He said, "But you know that I'm afraid to speak on my feet in front of a group. You know that it makes me nervous and I become tense even thinking about it." His friend said, "Yes, I know that's true, but you didn't ask me to tell you what would be convenient and easy for you to do. You asked me to tell you what would be the right thing for you to do. And the area where you have the greatest potential strength at this time is in consulting and training managers and salespeople. Be prepared to develop new skills." My friend realized that what he was saying was true. He then went out and took courses where he learned to overcome his fear of public speaking. He learned how to give presentations to a professional audience. It didn't take long, and 6 months later, he began his own consulting and training business. He is now doing extremely well, and he's never been happier in his whole life. It often happens that your strengths are like muscles, undeveloped and requiring a long period of exercise to build up to the point where you can begin to win competitions. Michael Jordan said, "Everybody has talent, but to translate it into ability takes hard work." A journey of 1,000 leagues begins with a single step. You start by sitting down and setting goals for yourself. You decide where you are now and where you want to be at a specific time in the future. What additional knowledge and skills will do the most to help you to increase your return on energy invested? In what areas will a particular skill be useful and valuable to you and enable you to stand out from others? Be aware of yourself. We know today that the key to a fully functioning, fully integrated personality, the basic factors underlying self-confidence, is for you to become more aware of who you are and what you really want. Each person has a part of their talents and potential skills that are unknown, either to themselves or to others. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs in your life will come from discovering parts of your potential that neither you nor anyone else knows are there. To become more aware, you begin with the process of self-disclosure. In determining your strengths for the future, you begin to engage in a search process to explore all the different areas where you may have hidden talents. One form of self-disclosure is to fill out a series of questionnaires and tests that examine parts of your personality and skills of which you might be unaware. Invest in yourself. Some years ago, I personally went to an industrial psychologist and took a battery of tests to find out my strengths and weaknesses. Much of my adult life since then has been affected by what came out of those tests. The tests pointed to areas where I had natural talents and abilities. They also revealed my personality weaknesses and areas where I had little interest or ability. These tests, such as the DISC Values Assessment, can do the same for you. They reveal a lot about you. They tell you what you like and enjoy and what sort of work you will find most fulfilling. They tell you your true values and major motivators, and what areas of activity will make you the happiest. Their results can save you years of hard work in the wrong job. If you have the time and the money, a detailed process of personality and career counseling is a very valuable exercise that can have a major influence on the rest of your career. If you lack either the time or the money, there are many books full of self-grading tests available in the bookstores. You can take these tests yourself and they will give you very accurate feedback. There are several companies that have developed entire batteries of self-grading assessment instruments, each of which can give you insights into your strengths and weaknesses in particular areas. Self-analysis and self-disclosure. There are also a series of exercises in self-analysis and self-disclosure that you can complete yourself with just a pen and paper. These exercises can often open your eyes and help you to see possibilities that may surprise you. The first exercise is for you to realize that you have already done many things and played many roles in life. Starting in childhood, you have learned how to do and perform a remarkable variety of tasks. You have a tremendous number of skills and talents that you have developed over time, many of which you simply take for granted. Once, some years ago, I applied for a job as an extra in a movie. On the application form, one of the questions asked was, "What skills do you have that might make you more valuable as an extra in different scenes in the movie?" They gave me a checklist of about 200 different things that a person might be called upon to do in a movie. My job was to tick off all the activities with which I had a previous experience. As I went down the list, I still remember being astonished at the incredible number of things that I had learned to do without even thinking about it. They ranged from a variety of sports to driving a variety of vehicles to riding horses to holding babies to washing dishes, climbing ladders, swinging on ropes, swimming, diving, jumping, tumbling on the ground, and so on. Perhaps one of the reasons why so many people have such low self-confidence is because they've never sat down to make up a list of how talented and capable they really are. List all your current skills and abilities. The first exercise for you is to write down a list of everything that you do on a regular basis. Write out all your roles and the parts you play, from the time you get up in the morning until the time you go to bed at night. If you play sports or exercise with various equipment, write it out. If you're a parent, cook, dishwasher, a driver, a shopper, a reader, a writer, a worker performing various jobs, a buyer, a seller, a negotiator, a teacher, a manager, a salesperson, a typist, a telephone answering person, and whatever else you can think of, write it down. Be as detailed as possible. Walk through your day, minute by minute and hour by hour, and write out everything that you do over the course of a day, a month, and a year. When you've completed this list, you'll be astonished at how many skills you have developed and which you use on a regular basis. Cluster your roles and activities. The second part of this self-disclosure and self-analysis exercise is for you to make a new list where you begin to cluster the various things you do into categories. One of your categories may be as a parent. Under the parent heading, write down all the things you do as a parent that are part of parenting. As a wife or husband, write down everything you do as a wife or husband that you perhaps would not do if you were not married. If you're a manager or a salesperson, or if you hold any other position, write down everything that you do in your job, day in and day out. You might use a heading entitled Friend, and under this heading you would write all the things you do as a friend. You phone people, visit, write letters, socialize, go out for dinner, meet after work, and so on. If you play sports, put sports as a heading and write down all of the physical activities that you engage in. If you're interested in reading, write down all of the subjects that you read about on a regular basis. Set priorities on your roles. When you've completed clustering all of your roles and activities into groups, the final step in this exercise is to set priorities on each group. Which group of activities is most important to you? Which group of activities is second most important to you? If you were going to be sent to a desert island for an indefinite term, and you could only take 2 or 3 of these activities with you, which ones would they be? When you have numbered your clusters or groups by priority, you will have created a very clear picture of who you are and what is valuable to you in life. Your next questions might be: 1. What do I need to do in each of these areas in order to get the very most satisfaction and enjoyment from this area? 2. What do I need to do more of or less of? 3. What do I need to get into or get out of? 4. What is more important within each cluster and what is less important? And number 5, if I had to choose, how would I choose and select among the various things that I do? You will be amazed at the kind of answers you start to come up with. In my experience, you will first be surprised at the clusters that appear at the top of your list and the clusters, some of which take up an enormous amount of your time, which are not really very important to you at all. For you to really know yourself, you have to take the time to analyze yourself like this on paper. Ask for input from others. A second exercise which is very helpful in learning more about yourself, and which has been a turning point in the lives of many people, is to turn to someone close to you and ask him or her what they think you should do with your life. Ask a person you trust what he or she thinks are your strong points and your weak points, your strengths and vulnerabilities. What advice would someone who cares about you give to you about the kind of work you should be doing and the kind of talents you should be developing? Even people who don't know you very well will often be able to give you insights about yourself and your possibilities that will be extremely accurate and might even be in areas you hadn't even thought about. Once, I was driving with a business associate to an appointment that was some way out of town. We had a chance to talk as we were driving along, and I was wrestling with what I should do at the next stage of my career. I was seriously considering getting into the business of professional speaking and giving seminars, and eventually producing audio programs. On a lark, I turned to him and asked him, in all honesty, if I was going to change careers, what do you think I would be good at? An important insight. He sat and thought for a while, and then he turned to me and said, "Brian, I think you would be very good at speaking and training and giving seminars. You do a lot of reading and research, and you seem to enjoy sharing your ideas with other people. The best use of your time would be to be sharing your ideas with audiences." Up to that time, I had seldom spoken publicly, and I had never given a seminar before. I won't say that that incident alone was the turning point for me, but it was the final assurance that I needed to make the decision to become a professional speaker and trainer. This business associate, a casual acquaintance of mine, could see it clearly. Today, I address more than 250,000 people each year, all over the United States, Canada, Europe, Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. I've spoken on every island in the Caribbean and in Mexico. So, it must have been the right decision. Determine what motivates you. A third method of self-analysis is to apply the work of Dr. David McClelland of Harvard to assessing your own areas of greatest potential. McClelland developed a method of interviewing people to find out what sort of jobs they would be best at doing. His conclusion was that people fall into three basic categories. You can usually tell whether or not a person will be suited to a particular job by finding out whether or not they fall into one of these three areas. The method of interviewing, which you can do on yourself, consists of asking the job candidate detailed questions about previous peak experiences or moments of personal pride in his or her past. The categories were determined by analyzing what most motivates a person. What are the sort of activities that a person most enjoys and has been most successful at in their previous life and work? There are basically three motivational profiles, and each person falls into one of them, as do you. The first is called the achiever profile. The achiever is a person whose greatest sense of accomplishment comes from achieving something that is almost exclusively an individual activity. A person who enjoys climbing a mountain, or completing a course of study, or running a race, or overcoming any obstacle to win through by himself or herself would be classified as an achiever. There are specific strengths that achievers have and specific jobs that achievers would be best at. One of these would be in the field of selling. Because selling is an individual activity, the people who are the very best at selling are those who most enjoy individual activities and individual accomplishment. The second type of motivation is the leader profile, or that of power. A person with a strong power orientation is one who enjoys getting things done through others. Power in this context refers to being able to influence and coordinate the activities of others over a period of time to complete a complex task. A coach of a sports team or a manager at work who really enjoys what he or she is doing would be a person who is most motivated by this kind of power or influence. The third kind of motivation is called affiliation, A person with an affiliation motivation is one who most enjoys working harmoniously with other people as part of a team. This person enjoys both supporting others and being supported by others. He or she enjoys cooperating with others toward a common goal and seeing the goal achieved successfully. Questions to ask. When you apply this test to yourself, you ask yourself the following. 1. What do I like to do more than anything else? 2. What have I done in the past that has given me my greatest feelings of self-esteem and personal pride? 3. What have been my personal peak experiences in life? Whatever you seem to have enjoyed the most is a good indication of where your strengths lie. Your strengths may be completely hidden, but by asking yourself these questions and facing the answers unblinkingly, you will begin to uncover those strengths. When you uncover a potential strength in yourself and begin to develop it so that you can use it in your life, you begin to feel really terrific about yourself. Make a real difference. Your most important job is to apply yourself where you can make the greatest positive difference. This will be the area where you get your highest return on energy. When you are working and expanding your capabilities in an area of your greatest strengths, you feel terrific about yourself. You feel like a winner. You enjoy wonderful feelings of self-confidence and self-esteem. Accept your weaknesses. It's also important for your happiness that you develop a proper perspective on the inevitable weaknesses that you will have in almost every area. Here are some insights that may be helpful to you. The first insight is that almost every weakness can be viewed as a strength inappropriately applied. If you use one of your strengths where it is neither required nor helpful, it can be actually a weakness in that it interferes with your ability to get the result you desire. Sales